Hello everyone. Hello. Good evening, morning, afternoon. Um yeah, that's evening. That's enough. How are you guys? Welcome everyone. Let me turn down the music a little. I'm getting so many questions about lighting and the Archviz workflow from 3ds Max to Unreal Engine. So today I thought we would make nice stream where we go through the process of taking a project from 3ds Max. So I got a specific request on a scene from Evermotion, so I'm doing that scene from one of my students, and we will go through, so the process, we will talk about Lumen, why we should detach our meshes, understand more about the technical side of, sides of Lumen, and all that good stuff. So if you guys can hear me well, say hello, tell me where are you watching from, and if you are enjoying the stream, leave a like in advance. I would really appreciate it. So Andy, John, Khadija, hi. That's mom. Robert, Andy Bear, Marcos, Mr. Matrix, Ivan, Muhammad Abdul Khalik. Hello guys. Good evening again, morning. Hello to all of you. And welcome. So let's get started. Let's do this and let's put things on the side. I tried to make a simple presentation. We will go through it as much as possible. So this should be hopefully like a guide. If you're watching from the future, we should put some timestamps, so this should make it easier as well. All right. The scene I have, if we want to take a look at 3ds Max, you may be familiar with this scene. This is the first video ever I made on YouTube. I made this Unreal Engine 4, not on YouTube like forever, but like the first tutorial. So we're gonna make this in Unreal Engine 5. I maybe compare it with the light bake from last year. I want to put the chat on the side, so I actually put it here accidentally. I hope all of you guys are having a great start of the week. So tell me, is it? Nice. I'm great. IBM Motion. Habibi. Let's do this. And let's do this. Okay. So there are a couple of things we can consider when we want to send our scenes from our 3D tool of choice to Unreal Engine. Some of these things are UV mapping. So when you create, let me switch the shading to something that's low quality. All right, that's to be okay. So we do UV mapping. In the days where we used to bake light, we do have two UV map channels, one for the textures and the other one if you want to add an unwrap UVW map. So this is the first channel, and things are like mapped to fit the texture images we use in our tools. So if we want to view that texture, yeah, I don't want to view it. And there is a second channel. So in this case, I'm going to click on move so we can make a copy of this and just simply organize this. And the second UV channel, when we place our lights inside Unreal Engine, that's Unreal Engine 4 I'm talking about, and Unreal Engine 5, if you're still developing for mobile or for VR, we still bake our lights. So light bake information is saved within this UV channel. In this stream, we're not gonna talk about light bake or unwrapping or these things. If you guys want me to do that, we can do it on another stream. Today, we're gonna focus more on Lumen. Okay? Okay. So, hey, Javier, Irvin, Home, John, Taulant, not the belt again, howdy. To keep the stream consistent, I'm going to spend some time like talking as much as possible about Lumen and like the technical things, and then spend some time with the chat. And if you have question, put on like between brackets question and then write your question so I can answer your question when it comes to Q&A at the end of the stream. And I would actually save the questions to the end of the stream, so I will let you know before we finish the stream. We will leave like 10 minutes for Q&A. That's where you can leave your questions, so we can focus more on today's topic. IBM, nothing to worry about. Didn't start. No worries to start from scratch. We're just getting started, buddy. I'm just setting up the tone for everything. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. I hope you like the music and all the good vibes. Haroun, come say hello, boy. So we're just getting started, IBM. No worries. Muhammad, you used to use Revit for modeling, but you have faced problem with UV maps. So there are solutions to fix Revit models before exporting in Unreal Engine. We're gonna talk about UV maps in Unreal Engine, the modeling tools inside Unreal. They are absolutely amazing. So if you are using Revit, SketchUp, any BIM tool, anything literally, you can follow along today. Like the things we're gonna talk about mainly are like fundamentals that apply on everything. And we're gonna tackle some things that you cannot do in 3ds Max, how we can do the same things inside Unreal Engine, like UV mapping, unwrapping, even sculpting if you want. Let's start with staying hydrated. Yeah, Surabah, Dap. Let's go. So this is a scene we get. The scene from Evermotion. I left the link in the description of the video. As I said, this is a request from a student on this scene. And we spoke briefly on light maps. So for you, IBM, for when you want to bake your lights, you have a second UV channel here where after light mask calculate lights and generate light map UV, light map textures. They are basically represented here. So this is for another stream. We're gonna delete that, and now let's focus on the scene. So there are a couple of good practices. Let's start with these. The first, not good practice but very essential, is make sure all your scenes are set. If you use the centimeter system, which is like all of us except for Americans, the centimeter, because in Unreal Engine every 1 unit equals 1 centimeter. Well, if you use inches or anything, you have like your conversion tools, so it should be fine. But if you use centimeters, like what I'm trying to say here, when you start your project, make sure your unit setup is set to something that you are working with 100%. Don't leave it on whatever value. And if you're using Max, each 1 unit equals 1 centimeters. If you're using Blender, it's the same, and the rest is true for everything. So that's one. Number two, when you have models, it's better that you have good placement of the pivots of the origin points. So for example, if you have this mesh isolated, if you want to reuse this across your Unreal Engine projects, especially separately, when you have such an object, the pivot is in the middle. When you click on it and drag, it will like go inside the floor, right? Especially if you have the grid snapping enabled. So let's disable this so we be more fair, but still it's inside the floor. So a good practice is to set up your UVs correctly, and in Max we do that by going to to this menu here, hierarchy, adjust pivot, affect pivot only, then we can select the pivot and set it in the center. I also use in 3ds Max, this is very important script. I don't know if I have it here. I don't think I do, but if you are using Max, you must have Soulborn scripts. We're gonna maybe install this in another stream, but these scripts have so many tools that will really like help you, like all these actions that will help you in your production process. Basically, if you are in this industry, in the production, whether architecture, virtual, whatever, you want to be efficient. So I highly explore checking this out, checking out the YouTube tutorials on these tools. And they also have this very awesome pivot placer, which basically like a user interface with like where you want to set your pivot, and it would automatically with one click set it here for you. And there are also so many scripts. What I mean here, if you use any tool, there are always scripts to make your life and job faster and easier. And for those who are using Blender, especially those who are migrating from 3ds Max for any reason to Blender or learning Blender, I see so many 3ds Max people learning Blender because it's free and it's cool. The origin of the mesh, so, oh, look at me, I don't even have the default cube. I set up my scene and then I go to file, export, default save up start a file. Not to make anyone angry, but I don't delete the default cube, I make one. So this here, the origin point, I recently discovered to move this inside Blender, we need to go to this here, options, then affect only origins. Then now you can see here we have in the gizmo, if you press G, you can move this gizmo, and I'm gonna move it here, then do this, and now this origin point is here, exactly where we need it. So when you export from any tool, just make sure your pivots are set exactly where they have to be. So that would make it easier for you later to reuse these assets, right? So you would make a group or a blueprint or something out of these and then use them over and over across your projects. There are many ways to reuse assets, but try to set it up to the best of your abilities in your 3D tool of choice. Now, if you go back to Max and go back here, and I'm going to press Shift F to disable the safe frame. And safe frame, basically, if you press F10 to render, I know this is not Max tutorial, but this is like the output size. And for now, I want to enable my layers, and I like to set up my viewport this way, not for this though. So I have always axis constraints here. I will explain why soon. And then I have next to it layers. And I always click here to enable my layers. So let's see what's up. We talk about mapping real quick, and we talk about the pivot placement. Now, when you are working, so we also did hide the walls. We're gonna talk more about mapping examples while we move through the stream, because I want to talk as much as possible about layering in this stream, but just best practices. Okay, now centimeters, check. Pivot placement, check. The third and fourth things to check are the layers and the names of your meshes. Now, we don't want to spend time naming the meshes here, but if you want to name your meshes, we're gonna make a whole stream just for that, on like the pipeline and proper naming conventions. But if you type Unreal Engine naming conventions, you can go to some of the guides online from our community, and you can see latest revisions and whatnot. And basically, the whole community agrees on using these as naming conventions. So there are links to check. Wait, Lyra, importing. This is from Lyra. Game abilities, gameplay effects. What I'm looking for is simply just static mesh, so SM. When you have, for example, a static mesh, all of this here is a static meshes. So anyway, I would find a script to rename every single static mesh, like add SM underscore, then the name of the mesh. This way we keep everything organized. And the same is true for textures and blueprints and everything else. So I know I usually use another document, which is on GitHub, LR UE5 style guide. This one, I think it's easier to read. Yes. Here on S, there are stereos or like very special cases. He talk more about it here why like they use S, but S or SM, it is like static mesh. Now, with that out of the way, let's get back here. It's very important to keep your names of the meshes organized because in the production process, you may need a lot to select so many objects, whether change their materials, change some settings, properties. You really need to make it easy for you to explore the word outliner and make it readable, right? So you would make it easy, for example, to select all the books in this here and right click and add these, for example, to a folder called books. Well, they don't want to add, but we can try adding them. So if you type book, right click, move to books, and now they are here. So now when I want books, I can come here, and if I don't want books, I can hide them. I can add these to the selection, the magazines. Technically, they're not books. You see, when you do this, it does not matter how much, when you name your meshes correctly, it does not matter how much complex or not really organized at the moment your word outliner is. When you have your proper namings, floors, walls, ceilings, kitchen, bedroom, depending on the room, depending on the asset, it would make it so much easier for you to organize your project. And this is so important, guys. Like, I can't stress how important this is. As someone, we have like 10 people now in our VR division just at the 3D studio, and we're collaborating as a team. It's so important. Okay, now organizational stuff out of the way. Let's take a quick look at the chat before we continue, because I think next step we're gonna talk about export. And yes, all right. Sure, can Adobe Substance Material alone help us working with Unreal Engine 5? You can use Substance Designer materials in Unreal Engine 5, so if you have a subscription to Adobe stuff, they have recently updated their plugin to work in UE5, so yes, the question to that. And I think the resources are really great, like the amount of freedom you have in creating different textures by changing values and seeds. So for anyone who is looking for good resources of textures, I would recommend checking out Substance textures. Studio Brazia, Habibi, hello, back to you. Yes, we are using Lumen today for the tutorial, and we're gonna talk about everything when it comes to lighting. So this is the exact same lighting settings from 3ds Max. So I exported this scene for now exactly as it is, just to explain some things in future. But today's tutorial is 100% about dynamic lighting. Stream, I mean, and future tutorial. Hey Deep, Habibi, how are you? Juza Bark. Walaikum salam, Habibi, what's up? How is it going? What training course do you recommend to Unreal Engine to learn Unreal? I recommend 2 training courses. I recommend our course that you can find the link in the description, which is the sponsor of all these streams. So if you are learning Unreal Engine architecture, I'm making a course that I am in a way constantly updating. So it's a live course. So that's one. Number two is Unreal Online Learning. So in Unreal Online Learning, they have, I would say, tens of courses that would also teach you everything in to learn Unreal. And in everything, my course is only mainly focused on architecture, but if you go to the Unreal Learning community, you would find all the tutorials and the courses you need. And now they updated it with the community section, so it's even more rich, which is amazing. I hope this answers your question. Jazor back, Habibi. M Design, what's up, buddy? It's good to see you. M Design, are you doing a Clint challenge? Haidar, hello, hello. Max, as a beginner, I found Blender to be a better application than 3ds Max. Recently, I used 3ds Max 2023 and I found it like an application from 2003. I love Blender. Yesterday I learned that like I can do this and then this and then this and then this, and let's delete these, right? And X dissolve, then click one, select this vertex and then select this vertex and press J to connect. Now for me in Max, let's do the same. I need to set up my shortcuts, so in a way I'm slower here, right? So don't judge. Usually I'm so much faster, I promise. So where is yeah, there we go. 1, 2. I forgot what I did here. And then 3, and then like a couple here, right? So then we got this, and then this, and delete. Now when I want to connect these, it won't work, right? And that sucks, because in order for this geometry to connect, it must be quads and it must be in a way close to each other. So what I would do in this case, add a Swift loop here, then select this guy and click connect, and then click this guy and click connect. As you can see, it's so much faster in Blender. So I find Blender in a way, if you are new to 3D, so much more beginner friendly, right? I know these things because I struggled in my days learning topology and whatnot. So some things in Blender are just intuitive, I would say. And if you are a beginner, I would truly recommend this as a tool that you can learn, because yes, it's free and it's great. There's so many resources. And once you learn the fundamentals of 3D, once you learn modeling, once you learn textures, mapping, unwrapping, you can transfer your skills to any 3D tool. It does not matter. So just get started and all is good. I took so much longer on this, but I just want to share with you guys what I'm learning in Blender, because I'm learning Blender and I'm trying to make the tutorial series for Blender, but for 3ds Max users, from as like 3ds Max user perspective, because some things for me in 3ds Max are amazing and I would never like give away until something else change it. But still, it's always good to have and to know many tools, because each tool serves a purpose. Let's continue. Amiljar Marta, good afternoon, Habibi. This stream is also dedicated to you. I saw your messages on Discord and I thought I'm gonna get live, share some Lumen tips and share this with you. So it's good to have you here today, buddy. Um, let's see if there are any questions or more messages to see. I would reach if programs like UE5, Blender, Photoshop, basic version, and easy way to learn. Hi there, they are easy. Let's make them easy today. So feel free to ask questions. Abdul Aoi Mahdi. Hello, buddy. Max Habibi. Yes, they do have a similar user interface in a way, Blender and UE5. Anton, let me translate. Hello, how are you? How is it going? Robert, what is the name of this scene in Overmotion? How do I find it? So this scene is in the description. If you there's I don't know if description is visible during the stream, but it is Arch Interiors 48 scene number 5, I believe. Yes, it's this scene, and I'm gonna paste the link in chat. There you go, buddy. And I left this for you later. Since you guys see this, we're gonna talk later about surface cache and lumen stuff. Hey, M Design, you're joining Clint Challenge. You will post on the Discord. To be honest, I've been a little busy for the past week or so. I couldn't check Discord, but I'm gonna check it if you do. And I'm also joining the challenge, thinking about something Zen. Project Find Yourself, buddy. How are you? Hi, many thanks for your work and providing content for free. My pleasure, bro. I watched your course on Skillshare and I highly recommend it. Thank you so much, man. Project Find Yourself. Actually, thank you so much. And if you can actually leave a review on the course, that would be amazing. And if any of you guys is one of my students, if you can also leave a review anywhere you're watching my courses, that would be incredible. Because I'm looking to take, like, we're designing the new website and I need your help. I need testimonials and I need some of your work. So if you learned something from my videos, and like what I mean from my videos, like you really consumed so many videos, you truly learned something, email me, yahya@vr-division.com, show me your work, and tell me yes, you can use it on your website. That would be incredible. So we will choose some of your work, guys. We will use it on our website, on the academy, on YouTube. We're working on so many cool things, but so many things are surprises. And for my email, there you go. Thank you so much for bringing this up, project Find Yourself. This is perfect. Thank you. Okay. Jar, I'm doing great. Thank you so much, buddy. How about you? How is it going? Hope you are having a great start of a week. Great Monday. Jar and the rest of you guys. Edjar Emtizarg, can you teach me? Because I won't say I am a Max expert. I've been using it for so long, but I still a noob in learning. So if you can teach me, that would be amazing. Connect vertices in Blender to choose 2 vertices and tap J. That's right. That's exactly what we did. Paul, buddy, how are you? Great as always. Thank you. Project. Lots of people are still using Max because of Archviz purposes. To get used to use V-Ray and Corona. For this, I recommend to know basics of 3D Studio Max. That's right. And in so many 3D studios, Archviz studios, like you need to know 3ds Max to find or to get that job, because that's like how their whole pipeline is built. Like it's not only about 3ds Max, it's about the so many plugins that studios and production companies build and buy on top of 3ds Max that they use for production for many years. So I see all these 3D tools are here to stay. And again, if you want to talk about this, it doesn't matter what tool you use, as long as you do great work, you have nothing to worry about. As long as you share it and show the people and so many other things, but that's a start. Hey, Damian. Thank you, buddy. I'm glad, again, I appreciate you. Shaber, thanks brother. I started doing Unreal Engine 4 watching your videos. I'm so happy to hear that, Shaber. Good luck with your learning journey, and if you have any questions, join our Discord community. The Discord community honestly is thriving. I've been busy, but I still see you guys talking to each other, answering each other questions, and that just makes me so happy. So thank you everyone on Discord helping each other. Mwah, you are absolute habibi. And if you ever come to Istanbul, call me. I'm gonna get you coffee. Okay? Promise. I put my email, you saw it. So now the offer is open. Take me on it. Max, what is better approach, texturing in Blender or using Substance Painter for Unreal Engine 5 import? This is an incredibly amazing question, Max. We can touch more on this in... Actually, let me put it here as well. We can touch more on this in future, but you have two types of texturing when it comes to the assets you have. You have tileable textures that you assign on mesh, and based on how that mesh is UV mapped, they will tile on top of it. And you have baked textures, that's the ones you do in Substance Painter, and usually these baked textures, they come for let's say hero assets or very special assets that you may... Not very special, but it can be for anything. But if you want to have like more control over the look of that asset. And the answer to the question, which one is better? It depends. It depends, really. And there are so many scenarios we can explore, but if you're doing something for VR, if you're doing something for... It really depends. So that's the answer. Amil Jar, Yahya, I consume your videos so much. You're absolute habibi. Thank you. I am in need of master touch to be able to start publishing my images. Okay, I'm gonna get back to you on Discord and we can see your images. You sent me one image, send me more images and send me how you set up your lighting. And I will see if I can help. Now, I'm also working with my team to create some sort of dedicated small support Yahya team, let's say. Like, not Yahya team, but like, yeah, Yahya's or something, just to see if how we can support you with this, guys, to publish your projects, to create something that you can put on your portfolio. Let's go. Project, Damian. Next question I have is, I have done ever 360 renders using UE5. Any thoughts on this? I'm going to cover this in an upcoming live stream. We are working on something with 360 renders and whatnot. So this will be covered soon. Wink. Lumen is great, but Archviz without mirrors is kind of useless. I agree. So this is why path tracing is still here. And this is also why it depends also on, well, it's not an excuse for not having mirrors on Lumen, but in a way, we try to make the customer understand some of the limitations, which is like mirrors and whatnot, but also tell them about the many benefits in why they should be using real-time and Unreal Engine for their projects. So the nice thing about Unreal now, path tracing is improving so much. So you can have, let's say, a real-time experience without mirrors or faked mirrors, which is the challenge for all video games, but you can also in a way provide... You can still provide in the same project path trace images or videos if needed, which is the best you can produce as an option without the need to go somewhere else. In my opinion, this is great. Unity, Unreal, see me buddy, welcome to the stream. 3D Studio is foundation for many corporations work in visualization because they purchase license in high quantity, making deal with Autodesk. That's right as well. Amil Jar, let's go baby. Donut, hello. Could I get an option about my project in Blender? Yes, you can. I left the link to our community on Discord, so join us, and I will check Discord after this stream, and I will do my best to give an opinion. Alright guys, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes even, just focusing fully on Lumen. So if you didn't leave a like already, please do. It helps us reach more people, especially if you're enjoying the stream. So this would allow more people to enjoy the stream as well and allow us to reach more people. So it's win-win-win. 3 wins. Alright, let's get back to Max and let's talk about exporting our assets. So we briefly talked about preparing our scene. I'm gonna recap. Make sure your units are set up in centimeters because in the Unreal Engine, every one unit each goes 1 centimeter. Make sure you name all your meshes so you can find them inside Unreal Engine as easy as possible in the word outliner. And make sure you have layers because layers are useful for 2 things. You can also visualize layers inside of Unreal Engine if you go to window and see layers. So here you can find your layers and double click layers so you can select everything. And I have an amazing tutorial on selection coming very soon. So more on that soon. And yeah, I forgot the 4th point, but that's okay. No panic. Yeah, actually it was about UV mapping. And we will talk more about UV mapping inside of Unreal. Now, I'm sure I forgot something else, but that's okay. So, I want to export this, and to export this, we want to find Datasmith. So if you type Google, type Datasmith, and click on the first result, just make sure it says Datasmith. You can read about it, so it have like nice header, boost your pipeline with Datasmith, 100%. I imagine Datasmith as a bridge between people and artists and all tools to Unreal Engine, right? So when you're working with a team, people use Rhino, people use Max, people use this and that. Everything can end up in the same project, which is great. So if you go to get the plugins, get the plugins, click once or twice. Let's make this bigger. Try not to laugh at my cursor, but it's we call it in Arabic jabase, watermelon. Try to say jabase, guys. Okay, so Autodesk 3ds Max exporter. This is the one we need for 3ds Max, and we have SketchUp Pro. I like to say it more like SketchUp Pro, and we have Revit, Naviswork, Rhino, all of these tools. And some tools like Cinema 4D, you can directly import Cinema 4D projects if you just go to plugins and type Datasmith, and you will find Datasmith Cinema 4D importer. So you can import native Cinema 4D files. And we're gonna talk more about Datasmith in a moment. So if we download and install the plugin, it's pretty straightforward process. When we go back to our tool of choice, which is in this case this scene we got from Overmotion, we want to export this now. We go to file, export, set a location, set a name, click and like stuff, and then click save and click OK. No, don't do that. Don't export all your scene as one export. We can talk so many reasons why, but the main reason why is, let's say you exported all your project like so, like this, and now it's inside of Unreal Engine, and you got feedback from the customer, from your boss, from your colleague, from anyone on maybe we want to detach the ceiling, the walls, all this stuff, and we want to change the floor, and we want maybe to change some furniture. Maybe that's too much. Okay, whatever. So sorry, drink some water. On what channel should I post my work on Discord? We have a channel called Work in Progress. You will find it. You can post there. For anyone who are working on something, feel free. Always, actually, I recommend asking people like, "Hey, I'm working on this and I'm looking for CNC." That's the minimum you can say. So sometimes you can get some good feedback on your work. And Dante, welcome to the community, buddy. And everyone else, join us. It's a lovely community. Everyone is staying hydrated. Is Archviz like a project name or a term for something? I am new to all of this. DVDP26. That's a good question. So Archviz, it stands for architectural, if I pronounce that correctly. Sorry if I didn't. Visualization. So visualization is an industry where you have an object, and that object can be architecture, it can be a product, it can be anything, and you visualize that the thing. So that's where Archviz comes from. It's like shortcut for architectural visualization, if I'm not mistaken. Sirdro, salam habibi, what's up? How much VRAM do I daily need for Archviz with 4K scenes and a lot of geometry? Scared of buying 3060 Ti over 3060 because of it. If you really want to up the scale of your scenes and have like 4K textures and 4K outputs, especially outputs with like really high settings, and like you want to go full ballistic on the quality of things, you need as much VRAM as possible. I am currently using 3070 Ti on my PC here, and we are currently having nice 50 frames, 60 frames. Of course, we can do so much more optimization, but I worked for many years on 1080 Ti GTX, so it's a very decent card. Of course, I recommend having RTX cards now because hardware ray tracing is 100% worth it for a much better lighting quality on lumen, and whether global illumination and reflections and everything else. Alright, I'm gonna get back to the tutorial. So once we install the plugin, we talk about how we can export it. So now congrats, you have export button and you have Datasmith. This is how you basically export your scenes. And inside Unreal Engine, if you start your project from the architectural template, you can go to import with, I'm gonna call this create menu. I like this name. It quickly add to the project, such a long name. So it's create menu, Datasmith, file import, and you would go to where you saved your file, and usually I have a folder called Datasmith temp. This is where I save everything related to my current projects, and which is Datasmith stuff, and I just keep deleting this every now and then. So this is our project, and this is the project we imported. So I said not to export your project as one piece, because when I exported this project as one piece, it took such a long time to export, and it took such a long time to import, and it took even longer to save. And every time, holy shit, what is this? Let me just remove this, hide from the channel. Let me know, guys, the spam messages are gone. Every time I go live, I get these butts. Hi, is it possible to have Lumen rendering in editor as it when you run the project? I didn't understand. Is it possible to have Lumen rendering in editor as it when you run the project? Often it's way lighter when you run simulate the project. So Lumen is 100% more expensive than baked lighting, if this is what your question means. Yes. Can you do tutorial for widget to change the texture of the furniture? we can, I do have something like this. It should be on the channel. I'm gonna check, but of course, Frey, I there is something like this, but I need to check where it is. It's either on the academy or the channel. I have like blueprint tutorial series. Okay, let's continue. So let's talk about something is very important when it comes for the preparation of our scenes, which is how we detach our meshes and why we detach our meshes. We used to detach our meshes in the early days because when we want to bake lights on our scene, so if you're using Unreal Engine light mask, whether the CPU light mask, the GPU light mask, to calculate the light maps, we detach our meshes because if we add an unwrap UVW modifier, now we have all of this as one mesh. And if we go to the second UV channel, I'm gonna click abandon. So we open like new start. There is nothing here. So I'm gonna click select everything, go to mapping, flatten mapping, and just keep the default settings and click OK. And as you can see, the whole house, the whole apartment is taking this UV space, and this UV space can be, it's a texture, and this texture, it can be like 1K, 2K, well, it does not matter what, even 8K, the quality of layering will look bad still on this mesh because you need to we need all these walls, they need bigger UV space in order for the lighting quality to appear better. So in the light bake stream, we're gonna talk more about this. Now there is small misconception that we still don't need to do this because now Lumen just works, and look at this, I have my scene and things are looking great. Well, in a way you're right, but you can achieve much higher resolution and not much higher resolution, but sometimes you can achieve in specific scenarios some really noticeable differences when you detach your meshes. So global illumination works much better and Lumen in general works much better. We're gonna talk more about why in a moment. And at the moment I'm not using software ray tracing. From now on I'm going to click on settings and I'm going to disable hardware ray tracing. So we're gonna make this now for software ray tracing for all of you guys who does not have RTX card. So how can we achieve good lighting without RTX cards? Of course, with RTX you'll achieve much higher shadow resolution and whatnot, but doesn't mean we can't with software ray tracing. So I just like to close all of these because it's easier for me to close. So under Lumen, I'm gonna use hardware ray tracing when available. This is the default setting when we start a project from a template. So let's disable this. And as you can see, oh my cat, what is this? This is now Lumen and software ray tracing. This is not the old lighting. This is happening because all of our house is one mesh, and Lumen works. I'm not gonna get so nerdy, but there is software ray tracing and there is hardware ray tracing. Software ray tracing uses signed mesh distance fields, and mesh distance fields are basically a parameterization or like approximation of our meshes that if we want to see how they look, but we can't see them now because they really won't look. Let's hide some things. Yeah, there is no way we can view our mesh distance fields now because of the quality. We're gonna talk more about in a moment. So Lumen, or there is something called surface cache and it uses these mesh distance fields to look up ray hit points on the meshes. So I want to show you the mesh distance field that we can't. Well, there is also, other than the mesh distance field, around each mesh what we call cards, and these cards, they in a way, if you want to imagine it, they generate like I would say, how I want to put it, they simulate the surface properties. So if we have layering hitting around, they would simulate that layering around it and apply it as textures on top of the mesh. Let's say that, right? And if you want to learn much more on these, so if you want to get more here, the surface cache. So Lumen generates an automatic parameterization. I can't read this, I need water. Of the nearby scene surface called surface cache. It is used to quickly look up layering at ray hit points. I didn't get this right, so now I'm learning better. In the scene. Lumen capture material properties for each mesh from multiple angles. So this is the mesh and this is the angles. These capture positions called cards are generated offline for each mesh, and we can visualize them as well. So by default, Lumen generates 12 cards for each mesh, and by default also, if you want to check for the quality for the mesh distance fields in our Unreal Engine when we enable Lumen, if you go to software ray tracing, you can see like the distance field voxel density is 0.2. This will appear better later once we view it. So this means when you have something like this, it's extremely hard to make good mesh distance field for this. So what we're going to do now is the following. We're going to detach this, and we're going also to give some of these surfaces some thickness, because it's also important for surfaces that are covering our interior projects or interior scenes, let's say, to have thickness, have it like something like 10, 15, 20 centimeters for like of course it does not have to be 20 or 10 or 15, it can be lower, but this means you need to have higher mesh distance field capture resolution on that mesh in order to avoid light leaks if they happen or something. So these are some practices and like things you need to account for when we are working on this. So let's get into the action. I'm going to enable by angle, and I'm going to select some of these faces, and I'm going to detach them. Now, because this is a new installation on my PC, I don't have any of my shortcuts, and I can't live with without my shortcuts. I even have a shortcut for the shortcut editor, the hotkey editor, and let's start with that. So this is my 3ds Max workflow, by the way. If you are learning 3ds Max, or if you are curious about how I work, that's how I work. So let's find hotkey editor. I like to give this 6 on the numpad, and I like to remove this and assign this because that's how we work. And that's one. Number 2, I like to detach stuff, and I like for that to be easy peasy D button detach. So that's complicated and unacceptable. So I'm going to change it to detach. And now I save. Instead of every single time I select these faces now, and I go somewhere here to find detach and click OK, and then do the same here. So let's select the floor and then click detach and OK. Now I can simply select this, click D, OK, boom. It's much faster. And if you want to take it to the next level, you would make a shortcut or like a macro button that would click D, then click enter for you. So you like, let's see. Yeah, so I actually used to have that. I used to buy keyboards with macro shortcuts so I can program some commands to make my life easier. especially when there are repetitive things. And I really hope AI will get rid of away from all repetitive things. So let's grow our selection. Now I'm just selecting on 90-degree angles between all of my meshes. So that's the rule of thumb. When you have 90-degree angles, select the mesh and detach it. It's as simple as that. Okay. So I can select this. Fixing some of the mesh thickness on some of this is going to be challenging. I don't think we're going to spend so much time on this, but we will see how it goes. So I'm selecting now this whole floor. I saw it. Did you see it? So we have this face here. Let's select all these. So I'm going to do this quickly. We're not gonna be very accurate. We can fix things later. And there we go. There we go. Do you like the music, guys? How is it? Music is good. Life is good. So let's select this. Detach here. Same here. And the same for this part. So we have 4 faces, 4 sides, the ceiling. So let's take this here together. And then this is finally. Now, I want to keep things slightly organized because if we open this layer, it contains everything and I don't want that. So the layers, I'm gonna press Ctrl Z. The objects we detached, they have all the same name, object. So we can select all these and we can press Ctrl A, then create a new layer, and this layer we can call it wall underscore shell. So this is the shell of the wall. Let me check the chat. Everything is going great. Hey, AD. Hi. All right. So I'm saving as a backup just in case, because we spent some time. Now, if I want to keep the same name, I can copy this and name it, but in 3ds Max, I like to rename my meshes. So in this case, it might be too early to name things, but let's do it anyway because we spoke about it. So I go to Tools, Rename Objects, and here SM underscore, then we can call it wall, then underscore, give it a number, and now it's perfectly named. So if I want to isolate my selection, unisolate my selection, and I want to check for how things are around. So we have these meshes and they got very no thickness, like almost 1 centimeter, right? And they are also open from the back. We're gonna do a test later by keeping some of these open and some of them closed. But now this is the situation, and that's what's up. Okay. So this means this is also an instance. So let's select our shell of a house and let's make some parts of it thicker. So we can do that by simply adding shell modifier. to the, some of these to the inner and some of them to the outer. I'm gonna give it like 15. For this part here, can select these, detach, then extrude. Are we still in the same playlist? I don't know. This is, I'm not sure if this is stream allowed, so just be safe. I'm gonna do this. So in a way, I'm kind of confused. So the reason I made the shortcut for the hotkey editor so I can bring it like this, my muscle memory is used to when I press 0 is to center the gizmo. So I'm going to search for center pivot and then type the shortcut 0 on the numpad, click OK. And then when I type 0, we get the pivot. So earlier it was here. So instead of going here, affect pivot only, click Alt A, which is auto align. Then click on this mesh and then say, hey, I want X, Y, and Z on the center and the center. So we can get it, and it does not even work. Actually, sorry, center to object, this guy. Yeah, we can make it shortcut. So always try to make shortcuts for the things you see yourself using always. And let's just do symmetry here. Okay. We need to close some meshes and whatnot. And as for the mesh here, oh, so this is an outside as well of the house. We have two of it. Yeah, I'm really confused now. Okay, let's keep things then without adding the shell modifier. And I'm going to select the outside wall. And I'm going also to detach things around. And then we're going to do another export and compare how things will look here, okay? Because now it's complete darkness. Let's see the difference at least. So let's detach. And here's a tip. If you want to detach things, it's better just to move them first to a new mesh, new wall, outside, new layer. And now when we detach the faces, they all like end up in the new layer we made. So we don't move things later, it's just easier this way. So now I'm just selecting faces based on 90-degree angles and I'm clicking detach. And I'm going to remove this because it's so hot now. Wow. Oof. Stay hydrated. So select these two faces, detach, select these four faces, detach, 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 and let's select the whole upper face for now and detach it like so. And detach it separately on so it's easier to see what's going on below it. So always try to separate areas you're working on, it's just easier for you this way. I would leave this, then select these, then select the floor, detach, I didn't explain earlier why the picture looked so good with hardware ray tracing, because hardware ray tracing does not use mesh distance fields. It uses the topology of the mesh. So if you really want to look things up and do some look development, or you really want to be not do so much work before you export your scene, and you want to see things like much faster, hardware ray tracing would allow you to do that. So that's one of the benefits of having an RTX card, or like hardware ray tracing basically. We keep getting chat spam something. I hope it's gone by now. And I hope everyone who's watching are having a great day. How's it going, guys? See you have chatting. Keep it up. So let's get back to the tutorial. But I'm looking at the chat now. Alright. Getting back here, can select this angle. And then let's select this part without this. Detach, select this, detach, same. Touch. And the same here. And there we go. We're left with this. We can keep it. And if you want to see how things look, ideally, I would model my project not this way, because ideally, all of these, we need to bridge them together. And so let's fix the, let's do this, let's do cut, like so. I'm just trying to match the topologies so they are similar, so it's easier to bridge them together. Because we need a closed mesh. So we have bridge, 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 and here we can cap and cap. Now this mesh, it seems flipped. I can tell because in Max we know, because it's slightly darker. So if we click on flip, it will flip the normals. And in Blender, you can tell if you go to view, and then I'm not sure actually. I think it was under view or normal. No, not this. Normal face orientation, viewport. Ah, there we go. From here, we can view the face orientation. And when we have a face that is flipped, I don't know how to flip faces still, by the way. Alt N. Ah, yes, from normals, from mesh. Normals, yes. I'm still learning, yeah. So these, they would, they're not good. The red ones, they all should be blue. And the same here. So, I think we are at a point in the project where we can export the walls and the project as well. So let's talk about export. So wall outside and the shell. I will click export, So I have a shortcut as well on export. It's Alt A, so I can press Alt A and I can call it here walls. Click OK. Datasmith will export the walls for us. We can get back to our project here. I'm going to make a duplicate. So it took such a long time to import everything, and I want to keep this scene as it is, just so we can compare later how things look. And I will show you different ways we can import and export when it comes to having multiple layers. So in this scene, I want to select the wall generic, and I want to select the first also. So let's take, I'm going to set the camera here. I'm also going to press Ctrl 1. So we have a bookmark, and you can access bookmark by going here from any view. And bookmark, you can set as many 10 bookmarks basically to switch. So here I can press Ctrl 2, you can press 1, 2 to switch between these every time. So I'm gonna press 1 and I'm gonna take screenshot just so we can compare later. I'll go back to settings and I'm going to disable hardware ray tracing. Okay, I will delete. So quick tip, in Unreal Engine when you press F10 and you collapse everything on the side, look, well, it collapsed everything here. You can click on pin tab. So under details, I think I want to keep this for now if I can. Not details, sorry, the outliner. But undock, come back here, sir. Okay. I'm also going to delete all the lights. Let's do that later actually. But yeah, so let's select the generic wall. This is all one mesh. Let's delete it. So this is one way you can update your projects inside of Unreal. And now we can select the outside wall, which is this mesh. We can also see it. We can delete. And now we should have no mesh outside. Okay. We can go back to create menu, click on Datasmith, import assets, Datasmith file import, and let's find our file. So DTtemp, our scene here, we have walls. And under walls, I'm going to save, usually have underscore projects, and then we have the name of the project, and then you have your maps and your Datasmith folder. So in this folder, you should import your Datasmith files. Later, you would find all your files here, whether walls, the whole project, all the furniture, and you can click on the Datasmith scene actor and you can re-import it. This is why I prefer to export my project on chunks, and I like to keep things organized so I can easily select a specific layer inside 3ds Max. Let's say I want to export all the furniture separately after I do the unwrapping and the optimization, or I change it, so I can simply replace the furniture Datasmith inside of Unreal Engine, and so on. And the same applies for any tool you're using, not only Max. For all Revit, like all your tools of choice. It's better to work this way. And yeah, I don't like, this makes me curious about the live link and how this will change our workflow. Okay, now let's save our file, and when you import with Datasmith, let me just, I think, okay, when you import with Datasmith, you have this default view dialog. What do you want to import? geometry, materials, lights, cameras, animations, all that good stuff. Usually I only import geometry in our workflow because all of our materials and textures, we already have a large library of the materials and textures we use on our projects. So if you are a beginner in Unreal or you're just getting started, with time you will be building your own library and you will find it more efficient to use Max or any tool or Blender or any tool just to create the 3D meshes and then do most of texture work inside of Unreal Engine, especially if these textures are tileable, right? Now, one of the questions earlier was, hey, when do we use, or like, what about substance design painter assets? Well, these can be special assets with different master material, but yeah, they are not tileable, right? So just keep that in mind. Now I just want the geometry and I just want the materials and the textures. Okay, I want you to notice two things. The first one, I think we got our meshes and things will start generate the mesh distance fields. And the second thing, I think it's brighter than it was. And the reason it is brighter than it was is because when you import every that's for 3ds Max, I'm not sure about other tools, but in 3ds Max we have something called exposure control. So when you click on 8 you have the environment and effects, and we have exposure control, we have very exposure control, and I recommend turning this off to no exposure control, because every time you export something from here and you import a Datasmith file, and I didn't talk a lot about Datasmith, we're gonna talk about it. It will also import the exposure again. So this means if you type global or you type exposure, you will find you have multiple. And I have here too because I made a duplicate on purpose just to change it and show you like before and after. So let's select this new exposure control and delete it because we don't want it. It might override something, so just be careful. In this way, in this case, it didn't do anything. But also, you notice something different in the scene here. So I'm going to click on one, and I'm going to press F9 and show you one screenshot before. Oh, it didn't take the screenshot. What? Why? We had the screenshot before where it was way too dark. It didn't take it. I don't know why. Weird. How can I work with this? Let's see if I can add them. So geometry, we have wall, we have generic, and we have outside. We have these two, right? And anyway, you remember earlier in the stream, it was extremely dark. Now when we replaced these very dark meshes with this is so much better. And I don't know why we still can't see the mesh distance fields, but if you go to show, you go to visualize, we can visualize mesh distance field. For now it is completely black, dark, I don't know why. And about this scene, I didn't touch anything, so the exact same way I find it when I open it in Max, the original scene, I send it to Unreal Engine. So all the materials, everything is just 100% by Datasmith. Now we are seeing some artifacts here, and I would like to address some of these one by one, but let's start by rebuilding our lighting 100%, like from scratch. So I'm going to delete all the lights, so let's start from scratch. Type light, and I'm going to select all these and make sure, actually before I delete, I just click H, so I isolate them. And we will see, before we delete this, actually it's a good idea to talk about what we see here, so we can talk more about Datasmith. So you see we have a directional light and it's called V-Ray Sun. We have a couple of light mask portals. Why do we have light mask portals? We can also talk about that in a moment. And we have some Datasmith custom actors for lights that I believe the folks at Epic made to translate some of the light types from our tools of choice to Unreal Engine. So if you go to the details panel, so let me undock this, put it back where it should be, and click on one of these actors. So do this, let's make it bigger, right? Because here you have some of the settings, like the placement are slightly different from what we see, but you have light type, you have point, spotlight, rectangular light, you have intensity, you have candles, lumens, unitless. So very dope. You have even IS texture. So in a way, this is, I would say, I would call an Archviz light. Where do you find this? If you press Ctrl B on this light, I know you don't have it though, so you can't press Ctrl B. If you go to, I believe, under settings, we need to show plugin content and engine content. So I think type for Datasmith area light, it should be under engine, plugins, Datasmith content, then we have Datasmith. So I don't know if you can see, by the way, let me check. Yeah, very close, right? Okay, Datasmith actor. For how long have you been online? Huh, nice, 90 minutes, so fast. Okay, everything is going good, just making sure. For everyone who subscribed today, thank you so much. So Ballistic, Narcanog, Javier, Apas, Quits, Tres, Insports, Suhail, Alternative, Kabakal. I'm sorry. Catastrophe. Anton, thank you so much, guys. Giorgio. When you add it, leave a like. Okay, so these lights, feel free to explore them. Before we delete this, again, as I said, the light mask portals and these, let's see what they look like inside 3ds Max. So if you go back to Max, you have, and you remember the habit where we used to place lights and mark that these lights are light mask portals somewhere. I forgot where we used to do that because it's been ages. But this is not it. So I'm sure it is somewhere here. But we used to do that for V-Ray, I'm certain. And these lights are converted to light mask portals. And my neck hurts. I need to rest. I've been sitting for 90 minutes. Let's do this. Oh. Guys, you need to stay stretched as well. So we have these lights here. And these are lights. Yeah, there we go. It's a V-Ray light. It's a mesh with V-Ray light modifier on top of it. And this gets converted to what we've seen here. Okay, very cool. Now, all of you guys, whoop, get out of here. Delete. I unhide everything and our scene now is completely dark. So let's see if there are any cookies around. No cookies, even though it's very dark. I said they have cookies, but maybe that's somewhere else. I'm gonna shut up now. This joke is too old now. So, let's go to window, environment light mixer. This is one of my favorite tools in Unreal Engine. You click and then you count. You say atmospheric light, check. Create atmosphere. Well, wait, we have a skylight. Skylight. Yeah, there we go. Get out of here. All right. So you open the environment light mixer, then you create skylight. Yeah. Atmospheric light. Yeah. Volumetric cloud. Yeah. Sky atmosphere. Yeah. Height fog. Yeah. And what do you see? Nothing. Why? That's because you have post-process volume that you imported earlier. So if we type post, or we type post-process volume, or we type global exposure, which is the name of this when it comes from 3ds Max, click delete, and while we click on yes all, we say get out of here. And will this bot leave me alone? This chat, oh my god, this stuff you see on the screen. So let me hide. Do you want to say hi to Haroun, guys? Because he's saying meow. I think he wants to say hi. I don't know. So let's continue. Haroun, what? He wants to say hi actually. Tap. Wanna say hi? Do you see the auto exposure fixing the camera? Come here, wait. Look at this. I want to introduce you to a very fat boy. Not me. He's not fat also. He's a good boy. Say hello. No. You want to say hello. Sure. He don't. He wants food. Joanne? Joanne? Poor boy. You have food, bro. Get out of here. Let's read the chat. Hey. Yes, he's so cute. Wow. You're so cute, but you need to stop, bro. You need to focus. Okay. So let's add the post-process volume. I'm gonna click on this menu here. Go to visual effects, add a post-process volume. This is very important. Every time you start a new scene, you need a post-process volume. And once you do that, we can go to post-process volume settings, and let's make it infinite extent. Enable this so this volume affects the whole world. Now, if we do any change, so we increase the intensity of film grain, we must be inside the volume in order to see the intensity of the grain. And I know we can't see it, or you can barely see it. So let's increase this to a very large value. If I get out, there is no grain. If I get in, there is grain all over the place. So if I want to affect my scene with the settings of this post-process volume, we should enable infinite extent and bound. That's one. Then I would like to disable auto exposure so I can have my control over that. And I don't know, there seems to be something outside blocking the sky. Yeah, there is an environment background, so let's delete that. So we have some light. What about these glass items? This should be transparent. For now, we can select everything glass and we can hide them so we can see the light inside. It's okay. There seem to be some mesh error here. I think this has to be with the normals or something. We're gonna check it out soon. While we are talking about post-process volume and settings, you can see here we have very annoying lens flare. So let's search for post-process volume again and type on under lens. Let's find lens flare and let's put the intensity here to 0 if you like. And that's basically what I like. Did you make that cat in Blender or 3ds Max? Hi, good stream. Alexander, buddy. Haroun, what are you made of from? Max, Blender, Houdini? He said he wants chicken, so I don't know. Okay. Cheers, Alexander. How's it going, bud? Let's continue. I'm going to disable environment light mixer because we don't want it. And when we create environment light mixer, basically you see like the fold or the magic unfolding. So when we create, let's see, you create a skylight, nothing happens because usually we should start with the directional light. And directional light will fill our scene thanks to Lumen. If you press Ctrl L, it will move it around, but something is missing because usually a sky should be blue, right? But now we don't have a sky. With a directional light, if we have a sky atmosphere, it will also affect our scene. But I'm going to raise the sun all the way, and things are looking nice. So there is sky, there is auto exposure that we're gonna disable in a moment. But still, if we add a skylight, so let's do that, add a skylight. I'm not sure if anything happened because we may need to enable real-time capture. So let's enable that. And as you can see, once we enable real-time capture, we have some of the blue in the sky here, which is amazing. And there are so many leaks and whatnot. We're gonna look more into this, I think, in another stream because I'm getting tired. But basically, it's about how we prepare our meshes inside of Unreal, right? Sorry, inside of Max. So they need more thickness. Anyway, let's continue. And before we continue, let's make a new folder, call it lights. Select all these. So let's select this here first, call it meshes. And then let's select these and put them under lights. And this is why I love Lumen. It's beautiful. So we change light, all works in real time. No need to bake, no need to wait. Life is good. We can of course play with the settings. So now oh, there we go. This is the mesh distance field. I don't know why we didn't see it before, but I might have. Maybe. Oh, a reason why we don't see it before. So that's why. In the scene earlier, we had very lights with very high intensity, and this was preventing us from seeing the mesh distance field. So now you can see an actual presentation of the meshes here, and you can see sometimes there are noise and there are artifacts. Basically, the better the mesh distance field on your mesh, to some extent though, the better things will generally look. But still to some extent. And mainly on these things, so where we don't have correct mesh distance field or surface cache, global illumination mightn't work. You may have some of this, you can see the noise in the back because Final Gather is like doing its best. You may also have some black reflections. So now if we go to Lumen, Surface Cache, all these, they will look black. These purple things because Lumen unable to generate good surface cache out of these guys here. So let's bring a sphere. So here is a sphere, this is material instance, and here is static mesh. Let's bring chrome material, and you can see other than this here, I don't know if it's visible for you, but this here, the blackness here, if you can see it, that's in a way coming, that's also not from the volumetric fog. Let's add a fog. So let's go to visual effects, exponential height fog. You can still see black, and this black again, it's represented in this, in purple when we go to the surface cache view. And if you like to raise, so black means bad, sorry, not bad, purple means bad. And if you want to check the documentation, I think I shared the link earlier, you can read, this is why we detach our meshes here. So these areas will not bounce light and will appear black in reflections. Issues like this can be fixed by increasing the number of cards used with max lumen mesh cards, and the number of cards we mean here. So when you open any static mesh and go to the static mesh editor, so where is my static mesh here? So this guy, see, if you want, you will see there are 12 cards, and to view these cards we go to LOD0, to build settings, and then you go to max lumen mesh cards, and sorry, so max lumen mesh cards. If you increase this, you might get better chance in eliminating these purple areas. But for the best chance to eliminate these purple areas is to know how to detach your meshes and have generally good topology with and also walls with thickness and whatnot. So the same workflow we do for baked lighting I would follow for Lumen. The only thing, just keep walls thick. So now this can be improved much more once we add some thickness to these walls, because here there is only one face and here there is only one face, and in a way you will see like the artifacts. And I love that I opened this scene because this scene gives an amazing example of what how we should not have our meshes in a scene when we want to export to Lumen, especially if you're using software ray tracing. So Ctrl Shift M, we can increase the number of cards to help us eliminate like the purple areas. What we can also do is increase the quality of the mesh distance field. So if you open the mesh in the mesh editor and go to LOD0, you can recognize this because you can see triangles here and vertices. So LOD0 and build settings, and you have under distance field resolution scale 1. So let's increase this to 3, for example. Click apply, and if we press Ctrl Shift M, which is my shortcut, it's not a default shortcut, to visualize the mesh distance field, because I don't want to go every time to visualize and press here. So mesh distance field, Ctrl Shift M. If you go to editor preferences and type here mesh distance field, I would recommend assigning the same shortcut if you see me using this a lot, because this is what I use. Yeah, so you can view this, and here's the mesh. So let's save it first, and let's compare it back with 1. So almost absolutely no difference on this end because are there other meshes around? Very interesting. Okay. So something to know when you import with Datasmith, don't forget to click on file and save all. It will save your whole project. That's very important. And let's see what is wrong with the mesh distance field. My neck is hurting. I should close soon, guys. So if you have any questions, add the question and we will take the next 15 minutes or so to answer questions. And we will continue working on this in the next stream, basically. There is a lot to talk about. And if you're enjoying the stream, don't forget to leave a like. I'd appreciate it, really. So that's the best way to help us reach more and more people who would also find this stream useful. Alright, so will this work or not? There seemed to be a bug, so what we can try is restarting. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to open Epic Games Launcher. So my project. Hey, Amor guy, thank you so much, buddy. I'm glad you like the videos. Should I get RTX card for architectural visualization? Wise Ali. RTX card would make your life so much easier when you want to get results faster and you don't want to do so much mesh optimization, especially if you want to get the feel of the environment. And yes, if you can afford it or if you can aim for it, if you want to upgrade, if you want to have project with more lights, more global illumination, more visual effects, then a powerful card is the way to go. I use RTX cards. I'm not sure about AMD cards, so I can't say use this and not that, but I would like, you know what I mean here, always. But yes, having a powerful card with VRAM and the ability to do ray tracing, and I believe both cards do ray tracing, NVIDIA and the AMD, is the way to go for future. RTX, if you want to use what I use, then yes, RTX. Am I going to try with AMD in future? Yes. Distance field resolution scale. Now let's change this and see if it's going to make any change. If not, I'm going to investigate off the stream and let you guys know what is the problem with this, because it seems this is broken. It's not working. Usually every time you do a change, it will rebuild the mesh distance field. So let's try this mesh. So this is set on 1, set it on 3. Okay, it's rebuilt this. And I have a theory that I'd like to test in this case. Okay? So it worked on this chair, but it didn't work on this wall. So let's do something. Let's get back to max and let's select this wall. And let's select all these parts except for the wall though. So let's select these, detach, and then select, make some thickness. Let's select these, go to tab, snap here, and let's isolate. And for now, let's can I, oh my god, cap. Okay, there we go. Now, since because this is from the walls we exported earlier, we can reveal this and reveal this, and I can export, replace the wall section here, and I can get back to the folder. I can right click and I can click re-import. But before we do that, I just want to press Ctrl Shift M, take screenshot. I think I'm, no, I don't know, no, wait. Okay, so let's click re-import. And let's press Ctrl Shift M again, take another screenshot. I think they might change. No, they stay the exact same. And let's see. I'm very curious. So, mesh distance field here. Okay, there is something overriding these. Very interesting. This is quality of 1. So I just decided to isolate my selection. And look, so this is quality of 1. And this is quality of 3. Very interesting. Now what's overriding here? I have no idea. So we need to investigate also more. So what if I select? It seems like I can't select anything here. So it's like hidden mesh. Ah, okay. This is one of the other hidden faces. So it's this from, I think, the outside wall or something. Now if we change this, so that's why it's important to have thickness to all of your meshes. Do you see now? Incredible. So it was this mesh, which is from the inside in a way, or a duplicate of what we have already. I don't know why that, but it's important. Keep things organized. So I think I can delete this as well. We don't want it. I hope so. Okay. In the next streams, we're gonna talk more about materials and talk how we can fix these materials, how we can fix these that look so weird, and talk more about lighting. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap up today's stream here. I think today we covered enough on how to prepare a scene and why we detach our meshes. And again, if you want to learn much more, go to the technical guide on Lumen and give it a read. It's extremely useful. Let's take a moment now to read the last questions in the chat before we wrap up today's stream. So if you have any questions, this is the time. And let's get into it. Ray tracing or path tracing? Mario Lopez. Depends. If you want mirrors and whatnot and like super realistic image that you can let the computer spend hours or minutes or as much as possible rendering, then path tracing. Ray tracing, if you can enable it on your projects, 100% recommended, because hardware ray tracing is in my opinion Very good. So you immediately get much more accurate representation of everything going on in your project when you have hardware ray tracing enabled. So this is software ray tracing using the signed mesh distance fields, and this is hardware ray tracing. So yeah. Geometry too thin. Yes, this is the thing about software ray tracing. Now layering looks so bad here compared to hardware ray tracing because geometry is way too thin. We need to have it so much thicker than this, and this is why we said like 20 centimeters or something, right? And the same on multiple parts here. So I'm gonna work off stream, or maybe in the next stream if you guys want to see me 3D modeling. If you enjoy that, let me know. We can do it, or we can do it off stream. We will see. Now compare, like thin geometry will not make good mesh distance field, right? Well, when it comes to hardware ray tracing, it does not use mesh distance field. It uses the mesh triangles itself, the triangulation of mesh, right? Which is much higher resolution, and this is why we should also keep our poly count relatively low, because you're tracing against, as far as I know, every triangle, which is a lot. So yeah, that's the difference. Hey, question, Irhan buddy, where I can create fully custom character? You have MetaHumans, you have character creator 3 or 4, and you have also Replica. Replica, you can keep an eye on them, but it's a product coming for future. They're our friends in Netherlands. I believe in what they are doing. So I would wait for this for a year or something. So I would use now character creator, MetaHumans, or wait for Replica also to release their product. Yes. Character Studio is quite feature complete and works with MetaHuman, I think. Mario Lopez, thank you for your answer, buddy. But then can I import it with my UE5 project? Yes. You need to learn the basics, the pipeline, the assets, the files, the FPX. What is FPX? So you will get there. Now you will get familiar with all the tools in the industry, and slowly, while you are learning about these tools, you will be able to bring in the whole puzzle together. So in a way, yes, you can import everything everywhere. You just need to learn more about the fundamentals and keep trying to learn and importing and solving problems. And your best friend is always Google. Anything you're trying to learn, you have Google to Google it and learn. Fuad, Yahya, I'm great, buddy. How are you? Thank you so much. This is a design not by me. This is a scene requested by a student from Overmotion, link in the description, so we can take a look at and learn lighting and the pipeline of 3ds Max from. But thank you. The purpose of this stream is to talk, to learn more what can we do to make our architectural designs look nice. So if you find this nice, then I think mission is slightly, well, I love the design as well, so let's give Overmotion credit. But yeah, I like the lighting too, and Lumen. Is MetaHuman isn't the only thing you can edit? Is the face, or you can edit the whole body like shape? You have presets you can choose from when it comes to MetaHuman. If you want something that you can customize so much on, I think Character Creator is a good tool. But now you can import. No, you can import stuff now, custom stuff. Mario Lupus, thank you for the answers again. Shout out to you. Robert, thank you so much. I don't have an RTX card, so I need these tips to make my work look better and remove artifacts. Robert, I'm so happy you are finding this stream useful. Um, in a way, I am blessed that I had a GTX 1080 for very long time, and just being patient forever when I want to buy a GPU, and you've seen the jump and stuff. So I always take an account. I also, when I first got started in computer graphics, I didn't have RTX. So I will do my very best, guys, to take into account all things for low spec computers and for high spec computers, so we all can make something nice. And for everyone who's learning from these streams, from my tutorials, from my courses today, please, I would love feedback on any of the lessons you're seeing. And if you want to show me your work, what are you working on in Unreal Engine, and would give me permission to share it on our new Academy website, on our show reels for the students, for the community, I would love to see your work. So please send me your work. I want to see it. Alright. More questions and more chat before we finish. Suresh, hey, going to start learning Unreal Engine. Do you have any beginner videos and some beginner advice? What are you learning Unreal Engine for? And I do have beginner videos. You will see a lot on the channel, especially if you're learning Unreal in architecture. And if I have some beginner advice, is to learn more about Datasmith, how it works, how you can export your assets and things from Unreal to your tools of choice to Unreal, and learn more about Lumen, materials. So all the essentials, get the fundamentals right, and build on top of that. And there are also amazing resources online. There is, of course, the whole YouTube, the Google stuff. There is the Unreal Online Learning Community, and there is also our Academy. So that's also a good beginner advice. I'm working on an amazing series of so many classes. I will not disclose the number now, but really lots of classes for beginners, like the complete foundation. So yes, this makes me excited. Kiran, buddy, how are you? Good to see you, man. You always join. Rockstar Syndrome, basic stuff, right? Yes, basic stuff, or not. Basic and advanced, we like to cover everything. Tombal, hi buddy, how are you? Oh, I'm just leaving. Fuad, thank you buddy. Why does my GPU 1660 Ti crash on baking light mass? Kindly advise. There might be so many reasons. The main reason, you may have a very high light map resolution, or may not have enough VRAM, so you may need to chunk your project. That's mainly, I would suspect, in the scale of the project. If it's big VRAM, you may be running out of that, and the scale of your light map UVs. So the first thing I would do is reducing the light map quality on my static meshes and try again. Alright guys, I'll take final couple of questions before we finish, because I am extremely hungry. I need to order food and eat. So you can guys see me in another stream and like say, where is this guy? And like, he's not online because he didn't eat. We don't want that. Just kidding. So yeah. I'm wondering if I should eat pizza or Indian food, or Syrian food is too late for it now, or kebab. It's late for all sorts of food. I should not eat before I sleep. Okay guys, Let's spend more time chilling. Should put the headphones for some music. BC requirements for Unreal Engine. Let me also do this while we're here. Right? Wow, thank you for subscribing and stuff. So let's do this. BC requirements for Unreal Engine, same as other engines, V-Ray, Corona. If your PC plays any nice or any video games, then you can run Unreal Engine. If you Google the requirements, you will see a page specifying the exact requirements you need, but you can start with like almost any machine. Like you need 16 gigs of RAM, some decent CPU, any almost good GPU, like if you play games. So if you run V-Ray, Corona, you render with this, you should be good. Yes. The main difference in Unreal, it's been a while since I used like V-Ray and Corona to render, but you need like the better your GPU, just like for video games, the better, the higher quality things you can do in a way. You can place more lights because now we're using Lumen, so more lights means more performance cost. So these type of things. Amil Jar Badi. Yahya, why when I activate the path trace does the lighting become brighter? That's a good question because path tracing is more accurate, and in real life, well, like Lumen, we know light bounce infinitely, but when you are doing path tracing, it bounces infinitely more than how it bounces. How can I explain that? So you have you have a light source, you have photons bouncing everywhere. So path tracing, it's naturally have higher quality calculations. So that's why your scene is brighter. That's because the photons are bouncing around more accurately and more. And something I noticed about Lumen, when you have so many lights, the global illumination would become slightly darker. If anyone want to experiment with that, you can try. Maybe we can reproduce it in another stream. But yeah, so that's the answer to your question, hopefully, Habibi. Enjoy your food, Habibi. Cheers for the next stream. Thank you, but I don't know what to eat yet. I figured it out. Amur guy. I am in Istanbul now. There is lahmacun, kebab. There is all sorts of food. Almost any kitchen you think about. It's a beautiful city from people all around the world. Can you answer my question about that when I create something in the game section, can then save it and add it after that in the animation What? I didn't understand, Irhan. Are you talking about the UMG inside Unreal Engine, the Unreal Motion Graphic Editor? Kebab all the way. Alexander, I'm gonna do that. Orfa kebab or yeah, that's a good idea. How can I make sure the Unreal packaged file can run smoothly on client's laptop? What is the minimum specs needed for running Archviz? Gurbal. There are the minimum specs you would set for an Archviz project are the same minimum specs you would set almost for any decent 3D game with lights and meshes and millions of polygons. So Gurbal, there are many resources you can search for on how you should optimize your scenes for better performance. There are so many things to consider when it comes to that. Starting with, if you have more lights, more dynamic lights, this will allow the scene to run not smoothly. So the more lights, the more lag. If you have many different master materials, this will allow lower performance. If you have meshes with high poly count, this will also contribute to the performance drops. So there are many things, like a long list of things you should avoid or you can learn about and you can optimize in order to increase the performance. So basically the project can run almost on any machine, almost, but oh my god, I spilled my coffee on my laptop. Yeah, actually, I'm so lucky. I almost spilled it on my laptop. I spilled it on my card, though. I'm so lucky, bro. So lucky. The whole glass. Laptop is fine. Amazing. Okay, guys, I should end the stream here to clean up the mess. No more questions. I forgot the question if I was answering something. I forgot. But yeah. Hey, Amur Flamibenon. Thank you. Wow, did you model all of this in Unreal or did you use 3D software? No, this is a scene we're using online as an example to showcase the rendering. It's from Overmotion. I shared the link earlier and it's also in the description of the video. I need more coffee now. But I don't drink coffee at night, so it's like I don't need more coffee now. But yeah, thank you guys. It was pleasure. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. Next one, we talk more about lighting, materials, and all the good stuff. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments of this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful rest of the day, evening, morning, all times. Take care.